When you hear the sound of the bell, you know you are in the championship rounds, and I'm here today with my co-host, Bodywork Boxing. Tell the people where to find you, champ.
Man, I'm Bodywork Boxing on YouTube, Mr. underscore Bodywork Boxing on the gram, and Bodywork Boxing 24/7 at Gmail.
So, in the tradition of what we do here, we get right to it. We don't need no feeling out. We're very familiar. Muhammad Ali and Larry Holmes, very well acquainted. Um, last week and past, I want to approach this carefully because there was some unfortunate collateral damage. We're talking about the David Morrell Jr. and Adios Yerbossley match. Um, let's just stick with the boxing first. I know I had been a strong, I guess, opponent against Morrell, and after the fight, you damn sure was sure to hit me with that body work. And you say, I think you're gonna have to lighten up on Morrell. This was like right after.
Yeah, yeah. And you said, yeah, I think I'm gonna have to reconsider. You know what I'm saying? I mean, because in all honesty, it wasn't a lot of data to go by. When you do your research on Morrell, and I happened to actually watch him, but he was very good at amateur. I think he was like a youth Olympian. So he had the skills to pay the bills on the amateur background. And then, the little joke about the Minnesota thing, him being there, which I had a conversation recently where, that might be a factor now, like to where they need to get this man in Vegas, get this man in LA. I think he built up that market. So let's see if that fan base that he's built and that praise that he's garnered in that area can travel with him. What you think?
Yo, brilliant, brilliant. You setting things up for an amazing show when you talk about traveling and audiences and what does that do? You also setting up, I gotta plug us right quick, Boxing Minds. We basically got a seminar for y'all, music industry and boxing promotions. But to your point, that's was my question. And I used the term industry plant. I said, did they take this very skilled Cuban national and plug him in Minnesota? They had the whole reel and the backstory, how he chose Minnesota. He said, put me where he can learn English and all that sort of thing. And I guess what made me or makes me take away from some of the praise he's been given is that, like, we respect it when women's boxing because we know that they move people along fast. That what they did for him in men's boxing was kind of unprecedented. We ain't really seen since the likes of Lomachenko, and yet he wasn't getting marketed in that same vein. So I'm like, yo, you trying to throw a male fighter with all the depth of any division you could pick, right?
Right.
Although 168 is not particularly deep, but you just take a guy and put a WBA belt on him right away, and he doesn't happen to fight any of the top guys that we've ever heard of at 168.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I can play devil's advocate and
Play
say
it.
that to say that the people that were he campaigned at, they knew who he was. They thought it was very convenient. Because again, I heard about David Morrell chasing the Canelo, David Morrell chasing the Benavidez. I ain't heard neither one of them chasing the Morrell Jr. So I don't know. And going into the boxing, let's think about it. This is his third fight under Ronnie Shields, right? We got Laura, who I could say he won that fight against Canelo,
A lot
right?
of people, a lot of people say that.
A lot of people. And then he got Jamal Charlo, who Canelo don't really want. And so it's almost like, does Ronnie Shields have the secret sauce with the way he was speaking and saying, hey, he wants Canelo, but do Canelo want him? It's like, is he trying to, wrestle out some of them skeletons out the closet? What you think about the Ronnie Shields aspect of it?
Well, I love Ronnie Shields as a trainer. Ronnie Shields can talk too. Would love to have a conversation, either on this platform or otherwise one day. But definitely, I think Ronnie Shields knows enough about boxing. He knows Olympic pedigree. Was the United States coach for a long time. He's seen the Cuban amateurs. Knows that style. Knows that system. I happen to think Anthony Joshua would have done a lot better had he gone with Ronnie. But
Yeah.
um, bring it back to Morrell. Is Morrell a boogeyman? Because when you put it in that perspective, you never hear anybody say his name. Nobody talks about him. And so I never even heard the whole Ronnie Shields mentioning. Let's just get to that. Ronnie Shields mentioning Canelo and David Morrell. But I mean, I could see Canelo avoiding this fight and avoiding this fight, as what I said.
Right.
Avoiding this fight and having good reason. Is it not a notable enough name? Or now with this, again, even though there's an unfortunate outcome, this very dangerous opponent at 168, you only really want to see Bivol. You don't really need to move up. So Canelo right now, if he's going to campaign at 168, is Morrell the fight to make?
I mean, the numbers. I mean, we'll have to look at the numbers. I mean, I'm thinking, with it being on Showtime, it's really a numbers thing, and it's almost the same dilemma as the Boots. Who, when you look at the eye test, when we bring up the eye test, we keep bringing up that name and we saying, okay, and then he shows you everything you need to see. And as the competition gets greater, because this guy was 16-0, he show out, Boots show out, against everybody they put him in there. And people say, man, we just want that credible name. Getting somebody like that, it's real convenient for Canelo to say, hey, who's this guy? I mean, look at what he did to Andre. You fight nobody. You're boring. You're horrible. It's like, that's easy to say when he might whoop your ass. You know what I'm saying? Like, and ain't nobody gonna really say, yeah, we want David Morrell. We want. So I think they need to put him in a spot where those eyeballs and them dollars can exchange and people can get a cash in on some of them rates with a name. They get him in there with a name in a Vegas or a LA. Get them odds looking right, get him with a good name and let him show out and show what's going on. And then boom, it's like, okay, well, look at these numbers. Look how many people was in attendance. Like, then you have something to where that can't be an excuse.
Sure.
So, we'll see. We'll see.
I think if Canelo's going to campaign at 168, let's jump right into it, because Eddie Hearn's talking about Canelo had the successful hand surgery. I really don't want to see Bivol come down and try to do that. I don't want to see that happen. So that's why I guess I'm injecting Morrell again, especially because sometimes controversy sells, And it's like, I can think of another fighter that this did not do well for, Subriel Matias. I love this guy. He's a hard puncher. He's a tough fighter, a bad Puerto Rican guy. And he, after, the unfortunate, incident he had after one of his fights, that does make him a very dangerous and scary opponent. He ain't getting no shots at 140, So I just think, Canelo, if he's going to campaign at 168, it ain't a lot too many names. Now, we got Plant, of course. We got Benavidez, right? Now, Benavidez and Morrell, I think, is a good fight. Plant and Morrell is a good fight. I think that in the conversation now, because they already put him there and somebody like me was even reluctant, I think now he got to be in the discussion.
He is in the discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's in the discussion. They are saying him, but I think they are taking the approach to where they know they got to put in some more work. So it's really just getting those numbers. I mean, because you got somebody like Boost that's like up around 30 fights, and it's like, okay, well, it is progressing, but they know that they got a little wiggle room because of the pro fights, the fights that's on record. But I want to spin the block real quick. I want to spin the block because we can't just skip over this. Don't you think it's kind of convenient that this whole wrist surgery and stuff is coming out now? And then it was saying then the narrative is the wrist hasn't been right since the fight before last, not before Bivol, the fight before Bivol. He's saying the wrist wasn't. I was like, man, see, that's the kind of like watered down a victory of Bivol in my sense. I mean, that's some very savvy media play, a message saying, and then he conveniently said, yeah, my wrist hasn't been right basically for 2 fights now. Like, yeah, okay, guy.
I have an even more interesting theory. Maybe perhaps this is the time off you need that someone, I'm not suggesting this, but if individuals are cycling off of performance enhancing, then there's sometimes a convenient window of injury for which you could allow these substances to be extracted or released from your body.
Yeah.
So listen, I put it out there because he has a history of it.
Right. You have to.
Right?
They still saying Earl of drunk, right? I mean, if that's keep coming up, then hey, one time getting DUI, then one time The same. But this is also might be a way to when he come back and he get John Ryder. Like I've been saying, when he picks John Ryder, and they gonna say, "Oh well, yeah, he is coming off the wrist surgery." You know, he got to test it out. It's a built-in mechanism once again, and we gotta see. We gotta pay attention to this because it's just too convenient. That's news we didn't need to know.
Yeah,
I didn't need to know.
So you think just touching on that real quick, you think John Ryder is a good potential? Not good. I'm not saying you, but you think that's what they might try to finesse us with as an opponent? Because I honestly don't know who or what the situation is. Is he coming back with DAZN and try to see what they got for him? Is that situation over? Is the situation with PBC over? Is he done with that fight deal with Plant, or does he have one more fight there?
I think PBC that's kind of like on the back burner. It's going to have to be one of them giving me an offer I can't refuse.
Okay.
But then he's coming back. So he's going to need that comeback fight like they give, then with the surgery, you put that on there. But the biggest thing is you got to think the stage been set. The stage been set ever since Danny Jacobs fought John Ryder. And that was an arguable decision because I actually had Jacobs winning.
Definitely.
But nobody really wanted to see a rematch between Canelo. And think about what John Ryder's been doing ever since. Haven't heard anything. He's just been kind of waiting in the wings. And I think it's something that's kind of been already, promised. Already promised a little backdoor. Okay, come on, man. But I'm gonna make the money work for you. Yes, your comeback fight, I'm gonna make you look good. You got your Triple G, the Silent G, lasagna. You know what I'm saying? We got your lasagna out the way. Let's give you something else to eat with a John Ryder. That's just me. But let's wait and see what happened with that.
Very interesting in the turn events with this Canelo thing. We're going to shift gears, and before we really put it in the third and fourth gear, we just going to jump straight into second. Savannah Marshall popped the clutch. She feels as though that fight between her and Clarissa Shields, not only was it a close fight, she went out there and said that is the greatest fight in the history of women's boxing. What do you think?
That's cannon fodder. Hogwash. I don't know. No, man. No. I think she pulled a page out of the book of Adrian Broner.
That's a bad book.
That's verse chapter 6, verse 9, man. Come on, man. She pulled some. That's to get us. Look, we talking about it. I mean, but come on. I mean, I've seen a lot of good women's boxing now. I mean, that was a good bout, but that's a strong statement.
Very strong.
And I don't do absolutes. I don't really do absolute. When somebody say it's the hardest hitting or the greatest ever, it's like I wasn't around. I didn't feel. You know what I'm saying? I didn't.
Well, here's I'm gonna go out on a limb and say. I was around for a lot of the Christy Martin fights. I think she's one of the forgotten greats in women's boxing. And trust me, we will speak on her. The coal miner's daughter, white thug. She hard. She like on some white Remy Ma shit. She hard. But the fights they were exciting because she was beating women that could not go toe to toe with her. Okay. And when Layla Ali came around and the whole Ann Wolf thing, that was a time when women were becoming athletic enough to have competitive fights. But in an era where now equally women are in Olympic pedigree, that particular fight, for what it was worth with the backstory, and every single moment of every single round was toe-to-toe punches. I think they can position that for now as the greatest, although there's a potential for a lot of hard acts to come up behind it. But I think it's fair if you're talking about, because when you talk about the action, toe-to-toe, is Hagler Hearns. It's every time these women stood in front of each other, they was just going.
Right. I mean, it's it gives something. It's motivation for the women. You know what I'm saying? Sure, I can't say. Sure. I mean, you might have a better opinion on that than me. Can I say that?
but look, you said it's out that book of Broner, verse 9. Look, and thou shalt say, I beat that boy ass. Y'all know I beat that boy.
Y'all beat that boy.
Like, come on, man. Nah. Yeah. But she also has the angle for the rematch. But grooving right into our thing, Women's Boxing Wednesday. I have a great opponent for Savannah Marshall, okay, because she was at the fight. there, and I'm talking about one Franchon Crews-Dezurn. Franchon Cruz is from Baltimore. She is a what you call a Renaissance woman. She sing, she rap, she's a designer. She just had her designs in a fashion week, days ago. She's also a champion at 168. She had an amazing fight on the undercard against Eileen Sederus on the Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano fight, which I was in attendance for. I mean, I'm talking about a woman who is so well accomplished and so multifaceted, jack of all trades, but she is a master, right, of boxing. I give her that much credit. I don't know if you guys are familiar with her, but please look her up. Very, very good Instagram following. Just recently, she went on to obtain her bachelor's degree, I believe, in business administration and marketing. I mean, these are the things I can just reel off about her. And like I said, she just claimed undisputed at 168, I believe. So in women's boxing. So and she's a wife. She's a real kind of woman. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
you gotta appreciate and respect that she found boxing late in life, and she's still able to manage it amongst all the many hats she wears. So shout out to her.
Yeah, shout out to Cruz, Dezurn.
And she fought Clarissa Shields. Like, she's, you know what I mean? Like, I could go on and on and on. She's a forgotten fighter. She doesn't get talked about enough. And her and Savannah Marshall will be a very exciting fight.
I like her because she run towards the smoke. Right now, some things is going on right now. It's like we can't get the best, but like I say, these women, man, she's running to the fire. She's the firefighter. She's coming in with that big hose.
Fuck that hair. Right?
But my pick was Gabriela Fundora, Sebastian Fundora's little sister. When I see them, I always see them together. They look like true boxing heads, and for lack of a better term, I like boxing nerds. They actually go to the fights. They attend it. You can see that they're very polished. Gabriela, I think she's like 9-0 with 4 knockouts, so she's really not a knockout artist yet. I only say that because she's a flyweight, but she's 5'9", and she presents some of the same issues that her brother presents, in which she's so tall and she's so long. Right now, she is so crispy and sharp that they're building her. Some of the competition that she had in the win column is they do have some numbers in the defeat column, but that's what you do when you build and you're trying to like really get your fighter to a certain degree. You got to send them this way and that way. You got to send them in with this style and that style. But I say that they call her Sweet Poison is what she called. Sweet Poison. She gives away, I was looking at her social media, she's giving away like a headband. If you can tell her, if her fans can say which day she actually wears this garment on this day, you might win a headband. She's very active, a true student of the sport, and I think this young lady can go a long way. I think she's with, I think she's under Samson as well.
Yep.
She is Golden Boy, and I think she's something to watch because that length and reach, she can stay on the outside. She has a vicious hook. It's almost like when you seen that skill set that Ryan was able to display in some flashes against Fortuna when he was throwing that jab and then doing a peekaboo. As soon as you fall for it, coming off with that hook, and her range is vicious. So I think that she's an up and coming. She's young and hungry. She's focused. She's a student. So I'm thinking, man, these ladies got to tighten up because there's some young ones that's been looking up to the GWO, looking up to Deshaun, Dezurn, learning from them all. You know what I'm saying? Collecting and putting more tools in the rucksack. So if you don't know her, Gabriela Fundora, Sebastian Fundora's younger sister, and she's an awesome prospect. That's why I chose her this week.
Definitely. You guys make sure that you check her out, man. And go back and do your research on any of these fighters. And I really love what we do with this Women's Boxing Wednesday, shining some light on what's happening. Also talk about what's happening this weekend, man. There's a little bit of women's boxing in there, but first we're going to start off with the fellas. Mm-hmm. I mentioned the boogeyman, and I said, are we going to use that to describe David Morrell? But the other guy who they've been, even been marketed. Top Rank even using their marketing poster. They had the picture, you know, because it was Halloween. They marketed him as the boogeyman. So I don't know if they listen to us or, you know, us as in the boxing community. Janibek, what's his name? I want to get it. I want to get this all the way right.
Alimkhanuly.
Janibek Alimkhanuly, right?
Yep.
He's in against Denzel Bentley. Denzel Bentley, UK fighter. Pretty slick boxer. But he's gonna have to be ready for a war, and definitely gonna have to be sturdy. You know, he's gonna have to be real strong in there and evasive, and try to at least set the tone and give, you know, Janibek something to think about. I guess if Janibek feels like he's gonna just, you know, bowl him over, you know, Bentley's got to try to give him something to make him, you know, threatening. But sometimes it's hard to keep these power punchers off you. If Bentley ain't got nothing to offer to try to make him think twice, could be an early night for him. But what you think about that one?
Man, I think we called it. I'm not sure if this fight. I think something happened. Yeah, I think something happened with this fight because I remember us calling it, and the verdict still stands, man. I think this guy's a young, hungry lion. He now has a belt. So it's, you know, he has a bargaining chip. I think that he wants to make a statement. He's a southpaw. He comes forward, puts a lot of pressure, and he's very active. You don't have to worry about this guy letting his hands go. And if you do try to hit him, he coming back with some hot shit. You know what I'm saying? So you might want to get out the way. I don't really see this fight in any other kind of way. I mean, unless Bentley done went, you know what I'm saying, back in the time machine and got something. I don't know what he can do. You know, but I got Janibek making a statement. I heard him on record calling out Maul Charlo. We've been hoping that Maul get it together and come up because I think this division is getting cracking now. I mean, them 60 and 68 between them, and now, you know, with 75 doing this thing, now someone's gonna be like, yeah, you can play that going up and down if you want to. You might go up and get an ass whooping, or come back down and get an ass whooping, you know, because it's heating up. So I'm excited to see it. I think he's gonna put on a statement.
And I'm with you, man. I hope that we get the Jamal Charlo and Janibek fight, because, you know, we need to see the middleweight division shaking up a bit, you know, and these guys definitely getting it sorted out. So I like Bentley. I love my UK guys, but Kazakh style, he gonna do what he want to do in that particular fight. The return of Super Bad. Seniesa Estrada is on the undercard of that fight. And former Golden Boy signee, she's outgrown those shoes. Now she's with Top Rank. We know Top Rank has done wonders for the likes of Michaela Mayer. Seniesa Estrada, you definitely brought her to our view, our peripheral in Women's Boxing Wednesdays. She's in there against an undefeated Argentinian fighter. I did a little bit of homework on this one.
Mm-hmm.
I know that especially DAZN in the UK, they use a lot of Argentinian fighters. That's how they end up bringing their girls up so fast. Her opponent, I think, is 6-2 with like 2 draws, but pretty good fighter. Seems like it. At least her last 2 opponents were 13-0, so her last 2 wins, I think, over undefeated fighters with higher records than herself. So this is Seniesa Estrada's opponent. Now, I ain't got no questions about Estrada, but could this be a rough fight for her after an 11th month layoff?
Absolutely. I mean, ring rust is always a thing, but I see her. I got a clip. I was going to do a video of her just hitting the heavy bag. Like she was hitting that thing like she got some anger issues or something. You know what I'm saying? As cute as she is, as small as she is, man. Remember I said big things come in small packages, and she was just whamming on it, wham, wham, wham. Like she just had to get that aggression out. Now, Castaño actually showed me that he showed me another little wrinkle to them Argentinians. It was a little. I saw this lady Jasmine, I think it's Jasmine Villarino. She's kind of awkward. I know they're adorable, but she's not a knockout artist. Out of all those, I think it's 7 fights, she got 1 knockout.
Yeah,
and I think with Super Bad at her size and how she hit, the power she brings, she's not gonna have anything to keep her off. I mean, unless that awkwardness. But I seen her. She kind of like she's a little awkward, but she is active. So could she catch her? Yeah, but I think after a couple rounds, after she get what I'm saying, her boxing feet up under her, about 3 or 4 rounds, she get in her groove. Superbad gonna do her thing.
Speaking a little bit of more women's boxing, we have Natasha Jonas. Now again, UK. She was Team Great Britain. One of the fighters that, again, she got her opportunity late, but she made pretty good of it. I think she's a 2 or 3 division champion. She just captured a belt. She's in there against a pretty game fighter out of Canada, Marie-Eve Dicaire. Yeah, this is for a unification. So this is like one of those sneaky, like, oh, all the belts are on the line for this one. And there's been speculation because it's at 154. Maybe Clarissa Shields and Natasha Jonas could get it on, you know? Um, what do you think? You familiar with either fighter?
Um, I think I seen Jonas before, but I'm not sure about her opponent for real, for real. So I'm not sure. I'm glad you told me it's a sneaky good fight. I'm definitely going to tune in. I'm just excited at the weight class. When you say 154,
Yeah.
I mean these women got some, some meat on their bones. So that means they can, what I'm saying, they're gonna be in there slapping
Punch it.
leather, man. Like, yeah, they're gonna. That's what kind of perked me up. It's one thing to see the little ones, but when you get up to 154 and you cutting weight and stuff, that's pretty solid. So I'm excited about that. Yeah.
Now you mentioned something earlier. We're gonna go back to the men's. You mentioned something about seeing how fighters, if their crowds can travel, and we gonna get more into it on Boxing Minds, but this DAZN card out of Cleveland, Ohio, headlined by Montana Love against Stevie Sparks. This is Eddie Hearn production. They're taking a chance, investing in Montana Love, and they happen to believe that the Ohio boy can bring him out, bring him out. What they also did on this card, right? They got 2 parts of Jersey, and I'm guessing these fighters have been, now all of these fighters, and if you talk about Montana Love and the 2 fighters from Jersey that I'm going to mention, Ray Ford out of Camden and Khalil Coe out of Jersey City, I think this is a nice move. So Eddie Hearn is maybe he don't want to sign a big U.S. fighter. He want to make his own fighter. So he's investing in Montana Love. Remember, Montana Love has been on the undercard of a Jake Paul joint. He's been on the undercard of some nice cards. Now he's headlining Ray Ford, Khalil Coe in Ohio. I think he wants to see if that East Coast crowd will travel at least into the Midwest, right? Getting your car dropped for 8 hours, right? What do you think about that whole setup, the card, or any of those pieces I've mentioned?
I think Eddie is doing a good job. I think that he kind of learned from dealing with AJ, then dealing with Devin as an American fighter with and kind of building. I mean, he had a small foundation over there. Devin did, and then Eddie kind of like he put him out there. He marketed and promoted him to be this guy. I mean, he didn't get him to undisputed, but he marketed him right. I think that as far as the price point and all that, no, we're not gonna get into that. I think he learned from some of those things, and this is why he's doing this with Montana Love. I think it's great to have a guy from Ohio. Every time I see that one name about Ohio runs boxing, things like that, I always think about all these boxers from Ohio. Even Al Heyman from Ohio is rich in culture. So to actually do an event there and to have a boxer there and then build him around with young talent, because I'm a Ray Ford fan. I'm looking for him to be even more crispier this time. I like the evolution of him. I've been checking for him. He's in my league of shadows. In regards to Love, he got to put on a statement. I mean, this guy Sparks, we know he went up against Tim Tszyu.
Yeah.
He got stopped by Tim Tszyu, but they say he, reformed and everything. When I saw him, he kind of like, he stays clammed up and he's kind of wild. He's a little wild. And I think that Montana Love has a lot of power. So I think that this is a showcase fight. This is where you got all the, this is where you're going to get you got to get them butts up out of the seats. You got to cause a commotion. You got to put on a statement. So I think this is a lot for Love from Eddie.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think, on the other hand, Ray Ford's got a pretty tough assignment. His opponent's coming off of a draw against Tug. what's the guy's name? The featherweight guy. I can't even say his name. The
Uh,
Filipino cat.
oh,
Tug Sorcat.
Rung Bazaar.
Yes.
Oh, they got him against Rung Bazaar.
No, his opponent. His
Oh,
opponent is just had went to a draw against Rung Vasat.
okay,
I think he's a South African gentleman. So
okay.
Ray Ford has been, DAZN has been secretly matching him up against some tough competition.
Yeah.
And I'm ready for his opportunity to really show. I'm hoping his fight is a 10 rounder because I'm waiting for Ray Ford. He's in the featherweight division. Featherweight is, I'm wondering how long can he stay physically in that division, and when is he going to get that shine? I think DAZN, they handled him pretty good in the beginning, but we haven't seen him in a while. But I'm glad to see him back. Khalil Coe has gotten some great opportunities as of late. So yeah, I'm just happy to see Jersey on the card, and definitely Montana Love. His opponent is there to be, I'm not trying to say disrespectfully, but he's there to either sink or swim.
Yeah.
I'm probably sure he feels confident, but Montana Love is going to put on a show. He's going to have his dogs. He's going to have the girls and the whole entourage and things. And I want this to work out for him because I think he's a talented fighter. He went to war with Baranchek. That was his claim to fame. For a lot of us,
I
very
remember that.
impressive win. And we just want to continue to see him build on that, maybe not get lost in some of those antics that I mentioned with the dogs, but certainly we do want to see him be successful in all his endeavors. He's a very good fighter. I like him.
And coming in on weight, he got to come in on weight, and everybody got their own little thing that they do to kind of sprinkle a little flavor on it to get attention and everything. But yeah, if he go in there and do the biggest statement he need to make is inside the ring.
Absolutely.
But I do want to say I want to see something from Khalil Coe. I think I've been seeing him. He hang around with Shakur a lot, right? Or he was. They was like they was hanging with each other a lot, sparring, and and I guess he was learning. But I want to see more from Khalil this week. I want to see him show out this week. So
yeah, it's definitely time for him to turn it up for sure, man. I hope that he was on the undercard. I saw him at the Katie Taylor Amanda Serrano fight. He was on the undercard of that. It's always good to see that. But you definitely want to see these fighters advance against both competition and skill. Now he was in a tough fight his last fight too.
yeah, he was.
Yeah, man,
Yeah.
he got out of there, but it's like, yeah, you're right. He has to make a statement as well, and I think DAZN and Eddie Hearn can maybe give those guys a chance. He's giving Love the chance to do it out in Ohio. Maybe if these guys put it together, he could say, "Look, I give you guys a Jersey card. You could bring North Jersey, South Jersey. We could just see how well Jersey travels within Jersey." You know what I mean? So yeah, man. You got anything else you want to cover before we get up out of here?
No, I want to say that Eddie, man, again, a lot of like Top Rank, they grew and they kind of changed the narrative on them. Eddie is actually kind of changing the narrative a little bit for me because just like in boxing, man, when you come out and you take your lumps and bruises, we want to see in round 4, 5, and 6, 6, 7, 8 if you can make adjustments. And Eddie is making adjustments. He's showing that he might really be a viable player. I mean, what he's doing with women's boxing, now his little changes, the pieces he's picking up, how he's building, like how he's catering to these U.S. markets. Because remember, last year was a point in time, I think it was around in August, they said there were no more U.S. dates for DAZN. I was like, oh, it might be over. I think he learned and he's making adjustments, which is going to keep him around. So, salute to Eddie, man. He growing on me too.
Yeah, man. We got to talk about Eddie tomorrow and Boxing Minds, man. We get to
Okay.
that, man.
Yeah. Okay, we could do that. Definitely do that. We could do that.
Yeah, so listen, man, y'all know where to find us. Thank you for joining us as always. Thank you for leaving the comments. Thank you for sharing the content. We appreciate all of it. And listen, let us know in the comments if there's anything that y'all think we missed. We're gonna cover it. And until next time, ladies and gentlemen, Body, let them know where to find you, champ.
It's Bodywork Boxing 24/7 at Gmail. Mr_Bodywork Boxing on the gram and Bodywork Boxing on YouTube. Here at Bodywork Boxing, where we don't take things for face value. We do that body work.
Because that's what counts in the championship rounds, ladies and gentlemen.